let's see. The last part of our discussion, paired passages. These are often like fourth or fifth question. You'll get at least two passages. So until now, you've been only doing single passages, right? And these are also easy ones, just like how you've been working on agreement based and disagreement. So basically, you'll get to see two passages, short ones. They come under the cross-text connection based questions. So, but before that, I want to know what is the meaning of point of view. Point of view. She has a good point of view. I want to know your point of view. What does it mean? Yes, in the chats, everyone be proactive. Yes, Viraj, Savni, Cherit. Come on, everybody. What's the meaning of point of view? Kushal, be proactive. Ashish, Sahasra, Adarsh, Ketan, Lokesh, everyone in the chats. 22 of you. Okay, your perspective. Good, Pritam. That's good. Opinion, yes. Very good. Correct. Particular one. Okay, Lokesh. The position from which something or someone is observed. Yes. Point of view. What's your point of view about it? So tell me, what's your perspective about it, or what do you think about it? In short, what is your opinion about this? Right. So why do I need to know about this? Because we have passages coming up, two back to back, text one, text two. And you first need to understand what is the point of view of text one and followed by text two, because sometimes the passage one is by one author, the other one is by another one. So two different point of views, but either they can agree with each other at one point of time or they can disagree. Sometimes you'll find agreements or disagreements are the most common type of questions. However, you cannot simply rely that, okay, for everything, the answers are negative. So therefore, this so-called option can be negative. As ma'am said, most of the passages are negative. Disagreements are very common of SAT passages, okay? But agreements can also happen. So be sincere in your reading. All right, so those who have mentioned about opinions, perspectives, there you go. That's your answer. Point of view refers to the opinions and perspectives of a person. Okay, now how do we work with the cross-text questions? It's very simple. There are two texts which have different or variety of viewpoints or information about the same topic. The theme remains the same. Dear children, please focus. The theme is same, but two authors coming up with their own information about that topic, clear, or viewpoints about the topic. Then these passages will be accompanied by a question asking about the relationship between them. Yes. So basically, you're asked to find out whether they're agreeing or disagreeing to each other. Clear? First, read text one, understand the main point. Text two, what is the main point? Between these two, what is the relationship? That's it. So you might be asked whether they're agreeing or disagreeing. Your job is to find that. Okay, how do we do this? So read the main point, then the text two also identify the main point, establish a relationship between these two passages and answer the questions in your own words. That means you write your own summary and then pick up the answer choices just the way how we have done so far until now. Okay, let's see. First, identify what's the main point of this text. I want that in the chat. First, don't give me answers, ABCDs. I won't be verifying that. First, tell me what is the point of view of text one, followed by text two. And what is the relationship? This is how you have to go. Then give me the answer. Come on, Kushal. Share your viewpoint about text one. Dhara. So write in the form of how you write for dumb summaries. Okay, don't write big passages. No. Preetham, I'm not considering your answer. Anyhow, it's incorrect. Yes. What is text one talking about? It's talking about food, but what is it? It's talking about the distance, right? The food takes distance to sell. This is about distance. It's about the long distance journey and the cost associated, uncounted costs associated with it. Now, what is text two talking about? No answers. Don't give me answers. I want to see your process. Yes, Dara. Talks about globalization of different foods. Rather, I would say it's about the distance, dear. Right in the very beginning of the sentence, you can say average of 1500 miles. With this, you should identify they're talking about some distance of that, how much the plates are traveling. Okay. This is so what you said, this globalization of food is basically detailing, not the main idea. So if you miss out on those aspects, somewhere you will lose out scores. First, identify what's the main idea. It's clearly talking about much of the food grown in bread basket surrounding us must be shipped across the country to distribution centers before it makes its way back to our supermarket shelves because uncounted cost of this long distance. It is clearly talking about the traveling, the transporting of food and the long distance to sell. Okay, moving on. What is text 2 talking about? Just how much carbon dioxide is emitted by transporting? Yes. So this talks about the distance and this is talking about, yes. What is it talking about? It's talking something about the environment, ain't it? Farm to Fork, cite a comprehensive study done by United. These are all detailed part, okay? Basically, the idea is about something related to carbon dioxide that's been emitted because of this transport. Too much of transporting is happening. And a lot of information here, all the detailing part. Air freight amounted to less than 1% of food miles. In total, food transportation accounted only 1 point. Okay, this is good one. Okay. So 1.8% of Britain's carbon dioxide emissions. Okay, so this gentleman, this passage clearly talks about that it's not harmful. The so-called transportation of food is not that harmful as people are thinking. Both are talking about the transportation. My voice is breaking, dear. Is it? Oh, no. Am I still the same? You can hear me? Okay. Now tell me, the first passage talks about, okay, thank you, Thara. So check your plugins, Manikantha. So text one talks about the distance and text two talks about you don't need to worry much. The food, even the long distance, doesn't really harm environment. That's the, so there is a disagreement. So what relationship can you establish here? That text two is disagreeing to text one. Based on the text, how would Desrochers and Shimizu of text 2 most likely describe the view presented in text 1? So what do you think? We can clearly see that there is disagreement between text 1 and text 2. Now, which of these options matches to your summary? It appears justified by preliminary. Appears justified means something positive. It is strongly supported by data compiled by DEFRA. It overstates the effects of transporting food on the environment. It's not overstating something. It's giving you the right information. What is overstating? Like more, like they're putting too much, over exaggerating. No, Viraj. It is strongly supported by data compiled by DEFRA. Yes. So these people are just simply talking about text. So text 2 is, you see, is entirely filled with a lot of information, fully data-based until the end. They made a point that It's just how much carbon dioxide is emitted by transporting a food from farm to fork. And based on that, they have given all the data. So this is clearly talking about this option. It overstates the effects of transporting food on the environment. No, it's not overstating anything. It's just giving their citations, their observations, not overstating, like they're over exaggerating something. No, not at all. It appears justified by preliminary findings, but has not yet definitive proven. Now, that discussion has not been here. They just gave some information, some citations they found. Okay. It is highly implausible, means something impossible or not what do you say, actionable, because most of the consumers do not consider the source of their food. We're not talking about this. This is talking about the distance, how much distance it takes. And this is saying that even though they're traveling, it is not harming the environment. Okay. So the answer is A. Any questions? Any doubts? Why everybody are okay, you didn't understand the meaning of the question. The meaning is very simple. Based on the text, how would Dishorzer, the so-called Disrochers and Shimzu text 2 most likely describe the view? They have presented two views, right? So the first view is all about the distance. What is text 2 all about? What is text 2 all about? What are these two talking about? They're citing a study they have done. So text 2 is all about the study, the survey they have done. But B also makes it overstates. Why overstating, dear? The effects of transporting food on the environment? No, they basically saying that there is no such thing like affecting the environment. See how they finally concluded in total food transportation accounted for only 1.8% of Britain's carbon dioxide emissions. In fact, it's a good number. In fact, it's a good news. This is not talking about the effects at all. They're giving us they're disclosing such an important information about we don't need to worry about this global warming and all that, because it is hardly making any damage. That's what they're trying to make us understand from text 2. Am I clear? No overstating. Overstating means they're like giving you so much of information. This happened, that happened, so many studies. They hardly did many studies, just this DEFRA report, and how much is the percentage generated, and finally, what is the outcome? Okay, so everything is in good space here. Clear? Yes. No, it is not telling about food transport. Basically, text 2 talks about you guys don't need to worry. Text 1 talks about the long distances it is making. Okay. Text 2 talks about even though there are long distance travel of the food, but you guys don't need to worry because the environment is not that damaged. Okay. The air quality is still under control. It's not that bad. Okay. Now moving on. Come on, Pranava, be active. Uh-uh. Why is so many twists in the story? Viraj, we'll go back to the question again. First, finish this. Oh, okay. We need to go back to the question. Even I was thinking. Okay. So let's see. Viraj, we'll get back to that question. Okay. Even I have my doubts. Now I'm. Yes. Yes, Dara. Even I agree on that. But finish this. We'll go back to that question again. Okay. Hmm. Why is it B? Okay. Okay. Haan, Savni, that's correct. Tell me what's the point of your text one? What is it talking about? Anxiety has long considered a critical. Yes, first, what is text one talks about? It says about the traditional treatment, correct? And text two talks about hand washing, video demonstrated consistently. Okay. So this is about traditional treatment. Steam respond to it. Okay. Cleansing and anxiety reduction. They come. How many of you answered A? Because it's consistent, right? It's consistent with your. Yes. Pritam, that's correct. Medication. Yes, Viraj, correct. So text one talks about the traditional treatment, and text two is like we're talking about it. It's talking who had seen the hand washing video demonstrated consistently lower levels of anxiety. Okay. Than those who had seen either the other two videos. Okay. So A, I guess, is going in according to by noting that it may not be the only possible. Yes. Yes. Correct. Ma'am, can it also be C? Let's see what is why is C. Oh, C is by claiming that those who prescribe medication for anxiety completely ignore the emotional benefits of frequent hand washing. Why, dear? That's an extreme language. What is Lee's finding? Lee's finding is what did they find? They have demonstrated a possible link between self-cleansing and behavior management. It has nothing to do with the emotion. In fact, you
Ma'am,
have to find.
by mistake, you have read B. I mentioned C, option C.
Okay. By stating that his team's finding helped establish hand washing as an alternate treatment to prescribed medication. Why C? Is it establishing that hand washing is an alternate treatment? Is that what Lee and his team has demonstrated? No.
Like they've mentioned, it demonstrated consistently lower levels of anxiety. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
option
So
C also makes some sense.
why? No sense by stating that his team's finding help establish hand washings as alternate treatment to prescribed medication. Why isn't it A? By noting that it may not be the only possible treatment by which an individual may reduce anxiety. Is it prescription medication? Is this prescribed medication? Yeah. It is a possible treatment. They're talking about it is one of the possible treatment, but not a prescribed treatment. Yes. possible link between self-cleansing and anxiety reduction. Okay. They conducted study of 1,150 adults and showed each of them one of the three different videos: how to properly wash hands, how to properly peel an egg, and how to properly draw a circle. The subjects were then all exposed to a series of situations meant to induce anxiety. Those individuals who have seen the hand washing video demonstrated consistently lower levels of anxiety. So basically, this is not a prescription, my dear. This is like there can be an alternative. I mean, like, this is not just only the possible treatment, there are many other ways to reduce anxiety. Okay. So it's not about prescription of any medication. Oh, you're asking. Okay, okay, fine. Yes, those who marked A, that's correct. Because this has no direct link with the prescribed medication. It can be most likely that this is another type of treatment, okay, that can reduce anxiety. It's not like written by the doctors. This is the prescription for reducing anxiety. Am I clear? Okay, we are going pretty slow today. Okay, come on, the next one. Okay, but before that, okay, we'll go back again. Once we finish everything, we'll go back to question one. I have my own explanation to do that. What is it asking? How Dr. Rini is responding to Dr. Meier's observations. So text 2 responding to text 1. So binge watching. What does it happen when you binge watch? Triggers release of dopamine. Hmm. So which is feeling of pleasure and relaxation. Okay. Let's see. Dopamine. Okay. So, yes. All those marked D correct. She would suggest that frequent binge watching may not have entirely positive effect upon an individual's. How many of you agree on that? D. Any counter arguments? No, ma'am, that's not. Okay, everybody are D for dopamine, D for D. That's your answer. Good. I guess you got the context. Anyone else who have questions? Others? Yeah, Harshit, Kushal, Lokesh. Why everybody are silent? Vishnu, why aren't you not active? Now Vishnu will answer. Over to Vishnu. Okay. Vishnu, Pranava, are you sure that's D? Prisha, why you guys are hitting on D? Or is it your last answer? This is C. Why is it C? Vishnu will answer us. Vishnu, why did you mark C? Okay. Anybody? Why the answer is like, why aren't it A, B, or D? Or you have any other answers? So what is text one talking about? And what is it that you have to find? Most likely characterize the conclusions presented in text one. So what are they trying to, how are they describing text one's conclusion? Based on the text, how Putrika and Zoo of text two, how are they characterizing text one's conclusion? Question. That was, I get it. Okay. Now I'm asking for this question. Come on, work on this. Astronomer Mark Holland and colleague examined four white dwarfs, small dense remnants of past stars, in order to determine the composition of exoplanets that used to orbit those stars. Study wavelengths of light in white dwarfs' atmospheres. The team reported that traces of such elements as lithium and sodium support the presence of Okay. So since they have observed trace amounts of lithium and sodium. Hence, they say that this is supporting, there is presence of lithium and sodium. This supports the presence of exoplanets with continental crust similar to Earth's. Now, so what summary can I write here? Yes, text one. Yes. C is correct, dear. I understand, but I really want to hear your process of working with these questions. And why can't it be other answers? Yes, Pranava, that's correct. C is your answer. So, to determine, so composition of the exoplanets have sodium and what? Lithium. That's why they're confirming that their continental crust. Crust means the base are similar to Earth. Now let's go through this. Past studies of white dwarf atmospheres have concluded that certain exoplanets had continental crusts. Okay. And astronomers, these two argue that those studies unduly emphasize atmospheric traces. Okay, even they're also saying the same thing. Lithium and other individual elements as signifiers of the type of rock found on the Earth. Okay, the studies don't adequately account for different minerals made up of various ratios of these elements. Okay, so there are some drawbacks also. Okay, and the possibility of rock types are not found on Earth that contain those minerals. So there is some contradictions also. So you cannot simply put that hence the exoplanet crust has sodiums and lithiums, and that's not the same with the Earth here. Naturally, there are disagreement here, right? The relationship is disagreement. Now, why are you all marking C? I believe it's because as unquestionable because it rests on incomplete consideration. Yes, so many things were not being considered. Potential sources of the elements detected in white dwarf and atmospheres. Yes. So we need one particular source of elements where these are all coming from. Then we can decide the continental crusts are actually made up of with sodiums and lithium, right? Okay. All right. So I just want to go to the first question as even I want to change my answer. Possibly I would mark it as I will flag it and then okay. So my answer here is it overstates the effect of transporting food on the environment. Somebody who asked me, well, somewhere down the line, even I'm agreeing, I find that's correct, but I'm in two minds. That's the reason why I was not sure. Whoever marked it as B, that's correct. B is not. Implausible means something that's not possible or viable to do. Okay, it's not highly impossible because most of the consumers do not consider the source of their food. See, what you have picked up, those who mark D, that becomes the detailing aspect. Here, the summary is about the distance the food is traveling, and text 2 is talking about the there is no such effect on the environment. Even though they are traveling long, transportation of these foods are happening, but you don't need to worry about the environment. It overstates the effects of transporting food on the environment. Okay. All right. Just how much carbon dioxide is emitted by transporting food and farm? That's a rhetorical question, as if the writer is asking us. And they have come up with all these details of stats and data given. My bad. I marked it A, but I was in second thought. Like, yeah, it is strongly supported by data compelled by DEFRA. That is off topic actually. Even though there is data, but that's not my point. So even your coach can make mistake. This question, it's been a long time now. Okay, so those who mark, yes, dear, that's exactly Dara. Now I was rethinking on that. So it is overstating about the estimations. Yeah. All right. So that's all for today. We shall catch up in the next coming sessions. And then